Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Hardpoint was playable in the Modern Warfare 3 beta, Search and Destroy was playable in the Modern Warfare 3 beta, but as yet we really don't know what the third game mode is going to be. Most pro players are keen to see a Capture the Flag return to competition for the upcoming season, but it's not just current pros, but former pros as well. Scump says that he's definitely down for CTF and goes as far to say that it'll be salty he didn't compete if Capture the Flag is the third game mode, heavily implying that some form of return to competition is on the cards for Scump if and when this could well be the case. Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Thought a nice reaction here from Krim to kind of his Lifetime Achievement Award he was given by the Esports Awards officially yesterday. I guess when the award ceremony is, that's when it's going to become official, but thought it was nice to see that go down. Also in challenges, a few updates to teams over here. There's lots of talk about the players of the caliber that they are that are going to be starting in challenges. This is no more so exemplified really by the European scene. We've got the likes of, Bance and Hixie on a team that's going to start in challenges next season, and also the likes of Vortex, right, who was, a good player when he was in the Pro League back in the day on teams such as Epsilon and, Fabi Esports, right, even going back to the Black Ops 3 World Championship where they came top 4, knocking out Cloud9, who had just taken out OpTic, but he's going to be teaming with Gizmo, Wardy and Mythics starting in challenges again. So it's like Vortex has been running this scene in the European side for so many years and been basically the most successful European player in challenges for a long time, but it's kind of an OG at this point. He's not a young cracked 18-year-old. If he changed his gamer tag and he pretended he was, maybe he'd get signed, but unfortunately that's not really how things work. And it's the same story elsewhere in the Americas as well. I mean, you look at the North American scene, you're looking at the likes of Temp and others, Gwyn for example, probably starting in challenges, and okay, maybe Los Angeles Grillers, if they finally wake up from their summer, might come knocking, but apart from that, the likes of those players are probably going to start in Tier 2 and hope to see some big changes in the early part of the season, which probably will happen. Let's face it, there will be teams that are looking to make moves if they're not performing, but, it's really difficult to see. I mean, even the likes of Decimate, who was in and around a Pro League caliber position not long ago, now he's talking about starting in challenges, trying to run flex. So, look, there's going to be plenty of action down there in challenges, and to be honest, there's even rumours that, Methods and Bows and others have said they will be playing challenges. They're trying to get Scump involved, and this is maybe one of the other reasons why Scump isn't so keen to play challenges, is because not only is he going down there to potentially get roasted by the fans if he ever loses to anyone in challenges, if he's just playing it for fun, but also it's not like it's just Tier 2 level caliber players down there. Like, there's some really good players in challenges that will be putting up a fight for sure, and hopefully some of the better ones of last year do get signed onto Pro League teams. Also a bit of controversy, I saw JP and Envoy talking about the format at the League of Legends World Championship, which is going on at the present time. Just did wonder what we might see, if any, changes going into next year on the CDL format. This is a cool little graphic that I didn't think I actually remember seeing at the time, but the CDL put this together before the start of this past season, saying where the events were. Of course, the Subliners one never happened. What the teams were, of course, now that's different because Miami Heretics have changed, London have changed. Surge might even go. Okay, they're going to go to Vancouver, probably not going to change the logo or anything, but things change a lot. The maps and modes, of course, are going to be drastically different. Last year, the first match was December the 2nd, the opening weekends. I don't know. We're not far away from December the 2nd, really, and we have nothing as a recording as to when it's actually going to start. So, yeah, hopefully something happens. Now, they also mentioned last year, what's new? Development of a match restore tool, which, did we really ever see that be used properly? I don't know, but, we'll say what you want about that. We know it's always the case with these ping tools or the match restore tools or everything like that. And let's say even a couple of years ago, there was the map designer thing, like the Forge from Halo type thing. You meant a map editor, change the spawns, change the maps. That never arrived. That wasn't on the CDL, that was on the developers, but there's lots of promises that maybe don't quite get to the extent we would like. Now, they did change last year the major finals to a best of 7 rather than a best of 9. That was really the only major format tweak. Everything else stayed the same, and I don't mind the format we have, to be honest. I think the way that it's done is quite good. I would like if all the qualifiers were done on LAN as well, rather than done online, but I get the merit of doing it either way, and I think the way the tournament is structured is actually okay. Like, I don't really mind the format we have, at least in terms of over the course of an event. Yes, there's some concerns about, let's say, Championship Sunday, having the team from winners play first, so they play first and then last on that day. So, like, within the weekends, there are some format tweaks that I'm sure some fans and teams especially would like to see, and may well happen this season, who knows. I know that EasyMac was talking about ensuring that no one on a regular match day can like open and close the show, as used to quite often be the case with the most popular teams back in the day, and still is sometimes seen now, when, you know, they want to get the viewers in early and want to make sure they're around till late, and that's why they put OpTic in the matches they do. So definitely some questions about whether they could change that going forward, but I think our overall format is fine. It's just a matter of getting enough events. That's been our issue, really. Like, the format of qualifiers major is okay if there's enough majors, which we haven't necessarily got the last couple of years. Now let's talk about this third game mode stuff, because hardpoint's a no-brainer, search and destroy is a no-brainer, and sure, you could do a third of either of those. I don't really like that idea. I prefer some sort of middle ground. Control is a very, you know, simple middle ground really between hardpoint and surge. There is points to capture, but there's also lives involved, and it's okay, and it probably will play okay in this new game, but it's nothing spectacular, it's nothing great. It doesn't, you know, people aren't really excited about Control ever since really Black Ops 4 when it was actually good. Most people are looking at CTF. There's other options. There's like Momentum game mode that came back in AW called War back in the day, Demo, Sabotage, and let's be honest, a lot of these game modes won't even be in the game in the first place. We don't really know. Headquarters, right? What's the plan over there? And as it stands, I don't know if Capture the Flag is actually in the game. It wasn't in the beta build, but you've got to think that Capture the Flag as a game mode isn't that hard to add. You put 2 flags on the map where they were back in the original MW2 days. They don't even have to think about that. And you can, well, the spawns are the concern, really. The spawn locations, making that work, that's the question. And I don't think CTF is in the game in the current build, or at least in the build that it was in the beta. I'd be surprised if it's not in the game at launch. I think it needs to be. I think it should certainly be. And the pros would be very keen for it to be. And it can't be that complicated to add, given that all the maps are from MW2. Like, it surely shouldn't take too long to make that happen. Now, Scump has been very much on the train of getting Capture the Flag back in, and we know full well that Scump has made his point known on the game modes and that potential return. And also the OpTic guys themselves said, the OpTic Texas team, if they are going to choose a third game mode, they will be voting for Capture the Flag if it's in the game. They want CTF over Control or some other contenders. And Scump says a very similar thing. The other day, there was an OpTic podcast that came out, and Scump said straight up that if it is Capture the Flag as a third mode, he will be really salty that he didn't decide to compete this year.
I understand previous betas where it's like, you only give us a few maps because you don't want to show everything off. Like, we know all these maps. Like, yeah, it's not going to be...
You're only thinking about yourself right now. There's a lot of people that have not played all these maps.
What if the maps like don't like work too well with Control? Do we see CTF back or no?
Dude, if CTF comes back, I'll be so salty that I didn't play.
Dude, because you know, someone brought it up the other day when I was talking, and dude, even Austin was like, dude, I don't know how these maps are gonna be. Like, we might have to play CTF.
Dude, CTF.
And I was like, if Liticoat's saying that, like, that's pretty crazy.
I hope to God we get CTF.
I hope if we get to watch CTF on those maps,
I'll be in Challengers full time with you, Bows.
We're
playing CTF. Mark, pull the flag. That's the best flag runner of all time. I've never seen anything like it. Back in the day, I got this. You'd be like, what the f? Mark's got the flag.
You're like, just played ratty.
You're like, where is he?
No one on the map's dead.
It says Bows, frag kill, knife kill. You're like, what? He stabs somebody while running it. He gets a frag kill across the map. It was impressive every time. Oh my God.
But overall, I mean, the beta seemed fun. I liked it.
Yeah, it was solid.
We'll see. When the game drops, it's like, I feel like it's going to be so much fun. At least for a couple weeks. It's going to be so much fun. Just because that hit of nostalgia. We're going to have all of the maps. Because, like, the beta gets stale, but every beta gets stale whenever you're playing the same 3 maps. I don't care if you've played them a million times or you've played them twice. After you play them for a day, you're like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
I got to play whatever again.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty good. Felt smooth. Time to kill felt good. Spawns
Oh,
need
wait,
some
you guys
work,
also
but-
didn't
So
play.
we know that Scump said now a couple of months ago that during the whole Rostermania period, he was in conversations with Shotzzy to actually make a return to the Call of Duty League. They needed a player after they made the changes they made. Hook was gone, Pred was basically going to come in. They needed someone to replace Ghosty. Scump was almost going to be that guy. He was 90% sure he wanted to do it, but he wasn't 100% sure. He hadn't played the game yet, he hadn't seen the game yet. And I do wonder if Scump knew then what he knows now, whether he would have said, you know what, Shotzzy, like Hex, like, all right, I'm coming back. I'm going to make the call and I'm going to make it happen, because it seems like he's very keen. He likes this game, clearly, having played it in the beta, and really wants to play Capture the Flag again on a competitive level. And yeah, I mean, he said he's salty that he's not going to compete if CTF is played as a third mode. And it might well be. A lot of the pro teams seem to be very keen for Capture the Flag. If CTF is in the game at launch, or even just shortly after launch, the pros will test it as the third mode. And I'd say there's a decent chance that the majority votes in favour of Capture the Flag becoming the third mode, and that's what they play. So, yeah, it definitely makes Scump very clear, really, that Scump is eager to play some form of competition. Now, what that manifests as this season is unknown. Whether that means he plays more tournaments than he otherwise would, whether that's like that he does more of that stuff for content, whether he does get involved in Zinni and Boze's kind of challenges team that they're going to try and run up there, maybe try and get Nature involved as well, I don't know. Maybe Scump would be keen to do that. Or at some point you got to wonder, could Scump even be like OpTic's substitute or something? Because he was last year when he was out of the team. He was kind of their sub, we think, for a little bit, because he was at the events where, you know, every team has to have a substitute at the events when they go. We think it was Scump for a bit because, like, it could have been Illy, but there were a few events where Illy wasn't there. So I don't know if technically JP was the sub or whatever, but like all of the events last year, Scump was there for. And if there was to have been something wrong, I guess they could have found a way for Scump to step in as a substitute if it was absolutely necessary after, you know, shortly after his retirement. This year, again, the team needs a substitute. There's no substitute right now that's been locked up. I know people have talked about Havoc, or even people talk about TJ Halley as potential good substitute options. But Scump might not be a bad one, right? And, you know, then you've got to wonder if Scump is kind of keen to play. And, you know, let's say this OpTic team, it doesn't go so well. On paper, this OpTic team should be really good, but I think you've got to wonder, because it would have been Kenny's role. If Scump would have come back this last year, it wouldn't have been Pred that would have gone, or Shotzzy that would have gone. It would have been Shotzzy, Pred, Scump, Dashy. That would have been the team of four, and maybe there's still a world in which that could be a team of four at some points, because they wanted Drazah, they got Kenny, and I think Kenny's going to do a great job in this role. I'm, you know, very optimistic about his chances in this situation. But if it doesn't go so well for whatever reason, you know, Scump in Kenny's role could be interesting. And also I think it's going to keep Kenny on his toes to some extent, because if I know that Scump's talking all this about wanting to play again, you know, Capture the Flag coming back, and if there is one role that Scump would step into, it would be this time around that flex position on the team. You got to think that Kenny is making sure that he's playing at the top of his game to ensure that circumstance doesn't happen. But yeah, it would be incredible as well if Scump was to become a substitute or something for OpTic, and then, you know, whatever could happen from there could potentially happen from there. Now, as Hex even says, I don't know if Capture the Flag is in the game right now. The teams want it, you know, OpTic have said outright that they want it back, but I don't know if it's actually going to be in the game at launch. It wasn't in the beta build. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the build earlier on. They're going to have control. That is the safe bet, but especially if the season starts later than we maybe initially thought. And okay, if it's December the 2nd, the third game mode is probably going to have to be a game mode that's actually in the game at launch. If it's not December the 2nd and it's further on, then there's a very realistic chance the third game mode can be something else that is added shortly down the line. But they can't take too long with it, no doubt about it. The other thing I wanted to say for Scump as well is that I feel this way with Clayster as well, or other players, that when you are playing, okay, this year's a Sledgehammer game, next year's a Treyarch game, right? And apparently the year after that is going to be like a Treyarch follow-on game. And, okay, I know that I'm glazing Treyarch a fair bit, but you know how it is. If you're going to retire and go out of competing, do you really want to retire the year before the Treyarch game comes out? That's probably going to be much better for competitive than what's been played the last few years. So, you know, this is what I would think if I was Clay or if I was Scump. I'd be like, well, you know, hang on a second here. We've got this, you know, thinking about retiring and calling it a day, but if Clay does retire at the end of this year, then he misses the Treyarch game. So then you got to think, is that the way that you want to do it? And Scump might be feeling the same way. So very much interested your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.